TopVelocity was developed to provide a better method, a science-based method of training that would have the complete understanding, the complete package of not just increasing performance and velocity, but doing it with health as a huge focus. You know, people give me a hard time about Olympic lifting because it's like an advanced form of lifting. And when I say advanced, meaning like it's highly technical. There's no better lifts in the weight room to develop the coordination and the ability to put your body in the correct sequence, the correct position to get to a maximum force production. So I developed the 2-pound med ball drills because I needed to, for me personally, when I was coming back from my injury, I needed to recruit more of my body and less of my arm. Now you're starting to recruit the legs better, the core better, the trunk better, and now you have to get good at, you know, driving forces out of the ground, sequencing the hips and shoulders to get the energy to the arm, because the arm can't do it. So biomechanical analysis is a huge part of this, along with the evaluations of the athlete. We have to measure the joint mobility. We have to measure the athleticism, the jumps, the sprints, the strength. So we could sit here and debate what's the better exercises, what's the better training, but what's really hard to debate is the end result. It's more than just throwing 95 or 100. It's about the metrics that create that, and the metrics come from the body and then come from the body's movements. Here at TopVelocity, we have more 90-mile-an-hour testimonials than any other program in the world.
And now you know why.
a great coach. On the YouTube live, someone's saying. Now we had it, so we didn't have it the whole time.
Wow.
That sucks. Oh well, that's why we did this. We did this to test it out.
Yeah.
Make sure we got it down. Okay, how much weight should I be putting on at 5'11", 170 pounds? Pat, how much weight should he be putting on at 5'11", 170 pounds?
Well, what's he weigh now? But
170.
you should get up to around 215, 225 to sustain the force of the 90-mile-an-hour pitch.
So Dr. Pat's saying 215, 225 would be ideal to be consistently in the 90s and healthy, right? How much do you?
Beef to support that type of.
Yeah, enough mass to be able to support that kind of force.
Yeah.
How much you weigh?
I weigh 220, 225. I'll sit around there.
220, 225.
How much weight have you put on in the last year?
I came at camp at 180, and I've gained 20 pounds each year.
Yeah.
All right, well, we had no sound on YouTube, so if you're gonna watch the beginning of this video, you're gonna see this. Okay, so we'll try to reiterate. We were saying Weston has been here for 2 years training. He's came in the low 80s, now he's up to the high 80s, about to break through 90, become a big leader in here. Guys have trained here probably know Weston. Tell them where you're from.
I'm from Jasper, Alabama, so it's like 6 hours away from here.
Why did you come down to Top Velocity from Alabama?
I actually was playing with my travel team was Louisiana Knights, and my owner actually recommended me coming down here, and that's how I found
the Knights
this place.
organization. Big fans of the Knights organization. They actually used to be in the same building with us when Top V was over at Gorilla. Someone said, I'm throwing 90 before Weston.
That's a lie. I guarantee it was probably Nick.
That's
Was it
awesome.
Nick?
It says Noah. I don't know which Noah that is. Is that Noah? Did you just get on here?
I knew it was like Nick or Noah.
Thoughts on? I'm gonna go there.
Nick is the big Texan.
Get my boy Drock on the live. Who's Drock?
Drock?
It says D-R-O-C-K. I don't know who that is. I don't know. Me and my dad bought your program. Awesome, man. I hope it's working out. Let's get you to 90. Let's see. What is the best way to gain velo, as in exercises or workouts? You get that one all the time. You're going to answer that one.
Olympic lifts for sure. It completely changed my game. Like my camp, I think I was 180, jumping 27-inch vert. Now I'm at 220, jumping a 36-inch vert. So it's like, and then my velo went skyrocketing, and then like my arm pain's gone because my body's doing all the work now instead of my arm.
Yeah, and like the hard things, guys like Weston who struggle in the hip mobility issue, the hips then are, it's hard to get the hips to come through. So the hips are always late, therefore it causes the arm to drag or go early and overcompensate. Even just the instability of the hips being late, that instability makes the upper body lose stability, and typically the torques are higher.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the thing is as he's gotten, I mean, what would you credit the one mechanical thing that you feel like has helped with your arm health?
Definitely linear drive, because that way I stopped pulling with the glove. I used to pull my glove and then my shoulder would lag and kind of pull this way. So me getting a linear drive made me stay closed longer and be more direct towards the plate.
Yeah. Let's see, where's Sayers? So he was just here, worked out this morning, and he's home for the evening. What do you think about the anatomy of the hips? Could affect mobility or external rotation. So you're saying it today. You're like, Brent, can you just break my pelvis? What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to break it and do what?
And like regrow it properly.
So Like in the anatomy with the hip, that the hard part is some people have bigger capsules, smaller capsules. Some people have more internally rotated femurs than external rotated femurs, and that's going to change the room that's there. Yeah. Also, too, all the pelvic muscles, right? They're under a lot of tension, and they have a lot of work to do to stabilize everything. The gut is sitting right on there, so if you have any weakness in there, it just knots up, right? So a lot of it is just getting strong. You get strong in all ranges. And then all of a sudden you notice, specifically you get your glutes stronger. You notice that the capsule starts to move a little better. Yeah. But, it's tough. Some guys just anatomically aren't built really mobile in those, and specifically in some of these key movements, like you were talking about, like hip extension, hip abduction. And it's just, you just got to do your best to try to keep pushing the anatomy to go a little farther without ripping it apart. But it's not easy. So sometimes, some guys are just, blessed with the gift of mobility, and other guys aren't. Yeah. But the other guys, you can do your best, but you probably are never going to get to the point that those guys that were gifted with it are. Let's see, we got a question. It says, would caution athletes from putting on too much weight too fast, as much of it can be fat and not muscle gain if their surplus is too high? Pat, would you caution athletes of putting on gain too fast because it might be too much fat than muscle? Or would you caution against that?
Well, that's why you have to actually know how you're eating. If you eat properly and you're putting on weight, then you're putting on more of a lean body mass. You're just eating raw calories. That's why they need to study the nutrition program. It goes through every aspect of it.
Yeah, so go to TopVelocity.net/nutrition. Dr. Pat developed the nutritional program. So it's really how you're eating.
And they can call. I'll be happy to talk with them.
Yeah, you can give us a call as well. 504-495-9592. Dr. Pat be happy to go over your plan for nutrition. Let's see. But did I answer that full question? What do you think about the anatomy of the hips that could affect mobility, external rotation? So yeah, like what I did. I said, just the way you're born. Obviously, architecturally, there's some key components that would give you a lot of hip mobility, and if you don't have that, you're just gonna have to do the best you can. And you're right, you might have to accept the fact that you're never gonna be a highly mobile person, but you'll do better, definitely. Best things to do to work on hip and shoulder separation. What do you do to work on hip and shoulder separation?
For me, my trunk rotation, or T-spine, what other people like to call it, was very tight, and I had to get that loose. So I like to use different exercises for that, like the lay down with weights on like my thigh and like my shoulder help me feel that stretch right here. But not only the stretch part, you also got to be in that movement and feel like actual force. So it's like really what helped me is the linear drills. What really feel this leg drive, push forward and try to hold this back with your core. That's what helped me find.
The static mobility will only assist the motor response, which comes from the drills. That's the motor learning. That's the toughest to incorporate that movement, because you can get the flexibility, but without being able to stress it and respond, like coming off of the king of the hill. It's easy to get in position to come out.
There's so many aspects of mobility, because a lot of the static stretching is probably more fascial, right? It's just more lengthening tissue than.
Well, it's actually that PNF, proprioceptive neuromuscular, like PNF stretching, like when you have somebody resist against you. And then it lengthens that muscle. It's training that actin and myosin, the muscle itself, to start to be able to release. Because when you get it to resistance and it feels like it's going to tear, is when the body actually neurologically allows it to release longer. And that's why you've got to get into those positions and then put resistance against it, just as much as doing that before you get into the position to do the drill itself.
Yeah. Right. So you need to go from you can go into a static position, but you do need to jump up into a more dynamic movement through it, right?
Right, and the same thing goes like when we do the PNF on the hamstrings are the easiest to illustrate. Like get down right here. Alex, I don't know if you can visualize this. It's as simple as just getting into this position, stabilizing that thigh, and getting them to that end point. And that's about it right there, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead and push against me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. See, now I can start to go another good 5 to 8 degrees. Breathe. Go ahead and push again. And relax. Push again. And relax. So you see, we increased about 15 degrees mobility right there. And that's something that is going to help to train the muscle response. Yeah. And then holding it static, you're going to need 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes typically to allow those big phasic muscles to release, just as much as fatiguing them, working out. So having them into that position against resistance is going to take a good 10 minutes to have some type of muscle response. Pre and F stretching is something that's a quick response, but it also is a good warm-up because now we're causing those muscles to respond as if in activity. Isometric type of resistance. Push against me. Relax. Push. Relax. Push. Relax. Now we hold them in this position. And we'll even pull more tension by pulling the foot down. And then that should be something that's more maintainable. So go ahead and just lift up the leg. Okay. So a little bit sustained. And that's just
I'm fatigued.
Give me a good deep squat. Let's see what it looks like.
Deep squat.
That should help. Feels good?
Yeah.
Good. So another question, can sidearm pitchers also visit the lesson hall? Yeah, we've had sidearm pitchers come in. I do like to teach sidearm pitchers from over the top to optimize through the core principles that we teach. And then from there, once they get good at that, it's learning how to start changing the trunk orientation to get to the sidearm slots. So, you know, you wouldn't maybe be as contralateral as an overtop guy as you start, but you're going to be close, maybe right here. And then as you load and drive, you're still trying to separate before you drop down to those positions. So same principles, it's just you're going to change your trunk orientation going into landing, or ultimately at landing, it's really going to start to drop as it moves forward after you've separated your hips and shoulders. Let's see, any other questions? Fired up for the camp tomorrow? Heck, yeah, we're excited. Noah's here. Noah's going to be here for a year. He's doing a kind of gap year here, Top Velocity. That's a cool thing to have guys that want to kind of do, take a year off and really try to focus in on this, make some big gains, and really start to put that out there and get some more exposure. You can get more exposure here at Top Velocity through our social media, and that's what we do with a lot of we call the Top Velocity University guys. But I'm pretty excited to have Noah here. At graduation, still repping Top B. That's awesome. Let's see, I'm Japanese S&C. All right, from Japan. We got Medlin on here. Ideal numbers on lifts to reach peak velocity. What were some of the lift numbers, the metrics you hit that you felt like really started pushing your velo?
250 power clean was a big thing for me. And like,
where are you right now?
Well, I got to 250.
Just recently.
Yeah, so that's when I started to see a change in my velocity just recently.
So, and for you, even upper twos, I think 250 is just starting to break through for someone. I mean, ideally, that's going to be someone around 200 pounds. We're trying to go over your body weight 130 to 150%.
Yeah.
The smaller guys, I like to try to push them up higher. The bigger guys, they don't have to go as high. But yeah, that's when your power production starts. You start getting real elite power production, then you can start moving it well in your delivery.
Yeah.
All right. We got another question here. It says, recommendations for ER shoulder flexibility pain. So be careful. A lot of guys overemphasize shoulder flexibility. If you have too much shoulder flexibility, you might have too much laxity in the joint, and then that joint is going to be vulnerable to, as you're trying to increase the forces through throwing harder, it's going to be more vulnerable to stabilizing and staying healthy. So, always ask guys, why do you want more external rotation? Because the external rotation, the reason the arm lays back, it supports the trunk. It gives the trunk more time to go forward to create more energy to the ball. 86% of the energy gets to the ball comes from the trunk. So if you don't have a good trunk, then you don't really need a lot of mobility in the shoulder. So understand why you need, what you're looking for. Make sure it then applies to the full kinetic chain. Alex has got a question there. What was the question, Alex? It says, Andy Martinez, power clean much more beneficial than hang clean? No, it's just a variation. Or is the triple extension similar? It's the same thing when it comes to triple extension. It should be technically, but there are variations. The hang clean is a variation of the power clean, so you need them both. Someone that would say have a really good hang clean and not a good power clean, you're more than likely weak in your posterior chain, so you have a hard time keeping your momentum going from the floor, and you have a hard time keeping your hips low to transition onto the bar. So you probably are weak in your posterior chain if you're having a hard time getting a good power clean and you have a good hang clean. Let's see, is deadlifting important in velocity? It's very important because when your front leg lands, all those forces are going to be projected over your front leg, and it's the only leg on the ground. And these forces have been shown up to be around 250% of your body weight. So if you don't have the posterior chain lengthening or the mobility and the strength to decelerate this dynamic exploding trunk that the forces are up to 250% of your body weight, then what's going to happen is your body's going to try to spin off, or it's going to try to get out of those loads. So that's a big, deadlifting is a big deal. But what is deadlifting? Is trap bar deadlifting? Studies show that's more quad dominant. We like to do RDLs, Romanian deadlifts, where our knees are more straight, because that's going to hit the posterior chain a lot harder than if you're more squatting as you stand up in that position. So I like them. We do more RDLs than we do trap bar deadlifts. We don't do trap bar deadlifts just because we try to get more posterior chain focused. What do you prefer as a pregame, and do you have anything you are against during it? I'm just not a big, obviously weighted ball guy. When pregame stuff for us is basically warming up with a good dynamic warm up, some good mobility, med ball drills to sync up your mechanics, get your mechanics looking good, and then start your throwing. You start just throwing, increasing your throwing volume. I'm not big on going far distances, but that's a good warm up. Actually, Eric Orsi put up his warm up routine on YouTube. Search I think we named it like Eric Orsi versus Keegan Gillis. It lays it all out. Let's see, what question you got there, Alex? They say mass equals gas. If you put a backpack with weights in it, will you throw harder? Good. That actually brings up a good story. We had a guy here training one time, and he had gotten so strong and so powerful, he wanted to know if increasing velocity or increasing mass would really help his velocity. So he actually did the test. He took a weighted vest, or he jumped without the weighted vest, and it was like 32 inches. He put a 30-pound weighted vest on, and he was able to get up to 32 inches on his jump. That's how explosive he was. So think about it. If you're someone who's really, really explosive, and it's like you almost can't get any faster, but you could gain 10, 15 pounds, and you could literally just go put that vest on to see if you can handle 15 pounds. Right now, could I handle 50 pounds? I put it on, I start jumping. If you can maintain the same height on your jump, you can handle that weight. And then it's just acceleration is force divided by mass. Mass is a part of the acceleration equation. So you can't say it doesn't work, because it's actually in Newton's laws of acceleration. So if you can keep your same explosiveness at more weight, you're going to throw harder. That's more inertia, that's more forces to put in the ball. Have you noticed that? Yeah,
like I said, when I started to gain weight, I still got my 36-inch vert. I was at 35 at 200. Now I'm 220 at 36-inch vert. And I started to see my average fastball numbers are actually higher than they were before. So that was my kind of experience with it. And I think I gained 20 pounds in about 3 months, so it's not like that long of a time frame actually. So it actually was beneficial for me to gain weight.
Pal asked the questions. If I throw 51 med ball, but on the mound I'm only 78, what do I do? What would you say?
Implement more baseball throws. Your med balls and baseball throws are probably two completely different things. And you might be a rotational guy with the med ball. You might be throwing it wrong.
That'd be like saying I can hit home runs, or my bat speed's 100 miles an hour, but my velocity's 7, 8 miles per hour. So would it be a bad thing that your bat speed's 100 miles an hour?
No.
No, it just means that you don't translate the same forces in a different sequence of movement. Yeah. But the thing with the med balls is it's a similar sequence of movements, it's just a heavier object. So with the heavier object, if you're someone who's a lot bigger, it's gonna be a lot easier for you to move that object than someone a lot smaller, right? Because their explosiveness is gonna have to be so much more to get the ball moving than if you have a lot of mass. So a lot of guys who throw the med balls really hard are typically bigger guys.
Yeah.
You know?
Is that Powell from here?
Yeah. So typically bigger guys. So if a big guy's in there throwing 50, which that's even not many guys are throwing 50. If the big guy's in there throwing 45 and he's throwing say 85 on the mound, you know, and then you got like a little guy throwing 45 and he's throwing 95 on the mound.
It's also sequencing motion. It's just like doing a running gun, which is useless if it doesn't translate.
Right, but I think when you think of like a running gun, if I say you got a 95 running gun and you got an 85 on mound, well, we know the big mechanical difference in a running gun to the mound is you can't run on the mound. But when you're doing a med ball throw to a baseball throw, they're almost pretty much identical.
Yeah.
The only difference is it's a two-handed throw to a one-handed throw, and it's a 2-pound ball. So the two-handed throw doesn't allow you to slam external rotation. It doesn't allow you to use a lot of arm acceleration. It cuts a lot of that out. So if you're a guy who, once again, who's really big and you don't have to move as fast to put the force on the ball, when you pick up the baseball, there's not as much speed in your movement as if the little guy was throwing it. And then maybe, and also too, maybe you're not a fast guy, so your arm lays back and you don't get a lot of acceleration out of your arm. So you're putting the same initial forces, but you're not getting the same acceleration at the end. So what it is the bigger guys are just going to have to understand that their med balls are probably going to be higher than the smaller guy when it goes to converting to the baseballs. And your limitation is speed.
Yeah.
You need to be pushing for a much more speed, and the little guy needs to be pushing for much more strength and size. So the little guy's going, I can't throw a 45-pound or 45-mile-an-hour med ball. What do I need to work on? You need to get stronger and you need to get bigger. And then the big guy's throwing the 45 med ball going, it's not converting it well. And you go, well, you need to get faster. You need to get quicker, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a perfect translation, but it's a lot closer than something like a running gun, because a running gun is a mechanical difference than on the mound, because on the mound you can't run, right? Yeah. Everything we do in a med ball throw, we can do on the mound, right? It's just the size and the way we do it with taking the arm out that makes it challenging. Let's see. Man, Weston has some good metrics. What is he off the mound? I'm guessing 96, 97. That's Nick.
Of course. Of course it's Nick.
He wants to be 96, 97.
Yeah.
He will be.
Yeah.
What is Nick off the mound?
91? Is it
91? What do you think Nick did well? So Nick came here at what? Came here at 78, and he got to 91. What did he do well?
He really understood the program, and he knew the basics of the program, and he just really worked hard on that. He really worked hard in the weight room too.
It was the big hair, I think.
Yeah, the big hair did.
Yeah, and like everything he did it with a purpose. Like it wasn't one day he was like, hey, I'm just gonna go lift. No, he came here with like a purpose. Hey, I'm gonna fix this today, or I'm gonna get stronger in this lift, or that's his biggest thing. He always came with a purpose.
Well, the significant things we saw change were his size and his strength.
That was the biggest thing, probably weight room.
Significantly, right? And if you're someone who comes in here that you just need size and strength, it's going to be an easy road for you, as opposed to someone who has dysfunction in their hip mobility, who is naturally big and not fast. It's going to be a lot harder for them.
Yeah.
Right? All right, last few questions here. Let's see, what is the best main lift, as in deadlift, power clean, or squat? I mean, it's all of them, guys, because the squat builds really the quad and glute stability. The deadlift builds a lot of the posterior chain, even glute too. And then the cleans is what makes it quick and explosive. It helps you get to that maximum force in a short amount of time. What would you add?
I mean, that's really about it. And then like just bench for just health purposes. Bench was a big thing for me to get my upper half stronger so I wouldn't feel weak up there and have injuries.
I don't know what Pal's saying. Pal's saying, I'm 6'8", weigh 300 pounds, and I own 37.5. Is that good? I don't know what he means. What is he talking about? Is he making fun of you or something?
I don't know.
Opinions on one leg power versus two leg power debate. Well, there's a good chance if you have power on two legs, you got it on one. There's a good chance if you have it on one, you have it on two. If you could see slight discrepancies, like you could be favoring one side over the other, but you would find that to be, you'd probably be more injury prone if that was you than not performing well. So I don't understand that debate. I know they're saying pitching goes back leg to front leg, meaning like you're never on two legs pitching, but it's hard to find a guy who like can jump 20 inches on one leg and couldn't jump 10 on the other. Like I said, if that was the case, I'd feel like they'd be more injured. Tips for cutting off excessive fat. What would you do on that, Pat?
Excessive fat?
Yeah.
Well, you gotta burn it off because you ate too much and it got stored. Don't eat late. Follow the nutrition program. As far as the abdominal fat.
Well, a lot of these kids, it's not, they want to look good as much as they want to play good, right?
Right.
So what do you do with them? The problem is if you really want to get lean, you still got to eat a lot. Then maybe it just needs to be more protein focused, right?
You're gonna flip it into more of the essential amino acids. You detox. You start to control the calories to actually start to see yourself leaning out. I mean, it'd be weight loss at first, but through exercise output and more protein, cut out the carbs.
My trainer says I'm a hell of an athlete and could go places easily if I train a lot. I've been training and love baseball. I'm at a point where I don't want to quit, but I don't enjoy it like I did. I want to keep going because I want to go places, but at the same time, I enjoy a lot less. If I take a break, am I going to have the time to catch up with other athletes? So I think the problem is here, if you're trying to get better to see what your potential is and you're not enjoying it, you're going to understand that if you can't find enjoyment in this kind of training, then I don't think it gets better. I think a lot of guys here, there's a lot of moments they don't enjoy. It's just what they really enjoy is the results that they get from the training, and then that overshadows the grind because it gets them more excited about what they can do, right?
Yeah, that's how I felt like with power clean. Now it's my favorite lift because I'm starting to get good at it.
Right. It's like sometimes the things you don't enjoy, you just because you're not good at them yet, and give it some time, right?
Yeah.
Francisco says, thanks, Francisco. I appreciate it, bro. All right, I think that's about it. Man, that was a good long run. We'll do these more. There's a lot of questions on Instagram. We got camp tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Weston's going to be here, so I know everybody wants to see Weston. So come on down. Come talk to the GOAT himself, who's about to break 90.
Not a GOAT yet.
And then next step after you break 90. So we break 90. What's our next step after we break 90?
Now I'm going 95.
Yeah, but we also want to maintain 90, right?
Yeah, I want to sit 90.
Yeah. So that's the next hurdle. The first hurdle is we break it, then we maintain it, then we build our pitches around it, right? Then we go and compete with it. That's what we're here to do. So appreciate you guys following us. We'll do this again. We're going to run a little video for you, and we'll see you on the next one.
Everyone who loves baseball ultimately dreams of having their own facility.
problem we found 99% of the time, they struggle keeping the doors open with the traditional model of cage space rental and lessons. But the main problem is that most facilities have no product. Players training with one coach, next year someone else, they have a different approach, so that's not always the most predictable. It's a little frustrating. We wanted to do better. We build relationships and products around something that is a system, and it's been the most complete product in the game for many years. We want to give business owners something to sell to the community that they can believe in, become a part of. We continue to push this industry to do better. We want to push our coaches to do better, and more importantly, with less injury and more understanding. So as our business models are established, a player at the age of 6, 7, 10 can get in and get started and prevent these injuries that are happening mid-year because they learned how to do things right at an earlier age. When they go through this program and things start to click for them again, just like we see with a lot of our major leaguers that come in, they always say, geez, just imagine if I had gotten this when I was 10, 12. This program is all about player development, just as much as it's about business development now. With our performance centers, we're able to take these advanced methods and bring them to a community, not only to build a business that is something that is built on a product, built on results, but also provide a course of study and a progression for a player. So with the TopVelocity Performance Center business model, this is something that an individual can easily produce a 6-figure income within the first year of them starting. You could put 5 different gyms in one city, and a TopVelocity gym is going to stand out. And the reason that it stands out is not only because of the results, but because of the culture and the community that we're trying to build.
So let's get started today. Reach out to us, whether you're a team, coach, individual, facility. We have options to work with you and partner with the TopVelocity methods across the country.